All right, so get ready, because we're diving into a career that is really making waves. Rachel Zegler, actress, singer, and, she's stirring up a lot of strong feelings out there. Is she fighting for real change? Or just playing the system for her own benefit? We're going to dig into all of it. Help you guys decide for yourselves.
Yeah, it's interesting how perfectly she kind of embodies that question, that line between, genuine passion and just controversy for the sake of controversy. Especially in Hollywood these days, you just don't know.
Right. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. It's 2021, Spielberg's West Side Story. Zegler, I mean, she's in high school at the time,
Oh, wow.
beats out 30,000 other people who wanted that role to play Maria. Wins a Golden Globe on her first try. I mean, talk about a fairy tale.
Oh, yeah, that's an incredible start. Put her on the map right away. Obviously, her talent is huge, but it also felt like maybe things were shifting in Hollywood, right? A Latina actress in a role that was, traditionally white.
Absolutely. Big moment for representation. And that's something that keeps coming up with Zegler, often alongside some serious controversy, like take her upcoming role as Snow White in the new live-action Disney movie.
Oh, yeah. That casting, I mean, people were really talking a Latina Snow White. Some folks were totally freaking out, saying it goes against, the whole skin as white as snow thing from the original story.
It's funny because even Zegler herself said she was surprised. Like, she never pictured a Latina Snow White, being a real possibility. But then she also really embraced what it meant, this idea of a princess who actually looks like her.
It's tricky, right? We want more diversity in movies and TV shows, but then there's this question of, are you being true to the original story? Does changing a character's race actually change the story? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a big conversation. And it's not just about race with this movie. There's all the debate about the Seven Dwarfs,
Yeah.
how they're portrayed in the new film. Some people are saying the original way they're shown is just offensive, that it makes fun of people with dwarfism.
And Disney is saying they're going in a different direction this time. They even talked to people from the dwarfism community, but, people are still upset. Some want the movie to be exactly like the old one, and some think any dwarfs in the film is just wrong, no matter what.
So you've got all that going on already. Then you add Zegler into the mix. And then, well, she adds her own personality to all of this.
Yeah.
She's not exactly shy about sharing her opinions,
Right.
especially on social media.
Right, and some of those opinions, they haven't exactly made everybody happy. Like her being pro-Palestinian, there were calls to boycott Snow White because Gal Gadot, her co-star, she's pro-Israel.
Yeah, it's like walking into a minefield, that whole Israeli-Palestinian conflict. One of the most sensitive topics out there. And if you're a celebrity,
Oh, yeah.
wading into that on social media, it's practically guaranteed to blow up in your face.
Oh, absolutely. And what's really interesting is that she didn't just say she was pro-Palestinian. She actually went after Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen. Gadot served in the Israeli military, and she's very public about supporting Israel's actions. So Zegler's comments, some people saw them as, not just political, but personal, added a whole other layer of drama.
For sure. And that's not even the only time her online comments have caused trouble. Remember, after the 2024 election, she said some things about Trump and his supporters. And, well, let's just say it didn't go over well with everyone.
Yeah, that was rough. You had conservative groups demanding she get fired from Snow White.
Yeah.
Saying she was going to ruin the movie by, turning off a huge chunk of the audience. Their argument was people won't see the movie because of her politics, no matter how good she is.
Makes you think, right? Like, do a celebrity's personal views actually matter that much when it comes to their work? Are we really going to boycott a whole movie because we don't like the star's political opinions?
It's a question that keeps coming up more and more, don't you think? Especially with social media, we know everything about celebrities now, what they think, what they do. So the line between the artist and their art is really blurred. Some people say you should be able to separate the two, like enjoy the work even if you disagree with the person. Others say supporting an artist means you're supporting their views, so you have to hold them accountable for everything they say and do, even their personal stuff.
Yeah, and it's like Zegler is stuck right in the middle of it all. She wants to use her voice to speak out about the things that matter to her. But then there's the blowback. After both of those controversies, the Gadot one and the Trump one, she apologized. She said she knew she hurt people and that she was all about positive discussion.
But even the apologies, people had mixed reactions. Some thought she meant it, that she was owning up to her words. Others said it was all PR, just trying to save her career. It's hard to know what she was really thinking, and that's what keeps the debate going. Is she genuine? Or is she manipulating everybody?
It is. Like we said, it's a blurry line. And to make it even trickier, there's the stuff she said about the original Snow White.
Oh, right. She says some pretty critical things about the story, like how the prince is basically a stalker that ruffled some feathers with a Disney fan.
Well, I mean, think about it. He kisses her while she's asleep. Not exactly, a perfect example of consent these days. But some people felt like, hey, she's starring in the remake. Shouldn't she be more respectful?
It's the age-old question. Can you be part of something and criticize it at the same time? Be a fan and a critic? Zegler is pushing the limits there, and it's making people uncomfortable. She's not just taking the role, she's thinking about it, challenging the old ideas, using it to start bigger conversations about gender roles and all that.
Totally. And it goes beyond Snow White. She talks a lot about how women are shown in Hollywood, wants to see more complex, stronger female characters on screen.
And that circles back to, she a visionary or just taking advantage? Is this stuff she really cares about, trying to make things better? Or is she just saying what people want to hear, to make herself look good and get more fans?
Tough to say for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing's for sure. She's not backing down. She's putting herself out there, taking risks, and sparking all this debate. That's pretty impressive on its own, especially for someone so young.
She was just 19 when West Side Story came out. Imagine becoming super famous at that age and dealing with social media and all the eyes on you. It's a lot to handle.
And it's not over yet. Snow White is coming out in March 2025. That's going to be a huge moment for her. I can't wait to see how the movie does and how she deals with, all the attention and criticism that comes with it. It's going to be a lot.
It's a big gamble, for sure. Can she get past all the controversy and win people over? Or will everything she said, overshadow her performance?
It's a good question. And we've talked a lot about the controversies, her motives, all that. But let's not forget the most important thing. The girl's incredibly talented.
Oh, for sure. She's a gifted singer and actress. Her performance in West Side Story, it was captivating. She has this natural charisma. You can't help but watch her. And it's obvious she puts in the work. She's dedicated.
And it's not just acting, Music, too. I was reading that she was a wedding singer before she got her big break. She's released a few singles, even some from the Hunger Games soundtrack. Her voice is amazing. So much range, so much emotion.
It's clear she's got many sides. Lots of ambition, and she's not afraid to try different things. She's written and directed some short films, and I read somewhere that she wants to direct a feature film someday.
It feels like she's always pushing herself.
Yeah.
Creatively and personally. That drive, it's admirable, but you kind of wonder, does she ever slow down? Just be, without having to prove anything.
That's a good question. One we can only guess at. But yeah, it does seem like she's constantly striving, pushing the limits. Is it ambition? Insecurity, maybe both. Who knows?
It's a lot to think about, isn't it? Rachel Zegler, she reflects so much of what's going on in the world right now. All the contradictions, all the complicated stuff. She's talented, ambitious, outspoken.
Yeah.
And controversial. She's dealing with being famous, with social media, with what it means to be a Disney princess in this day and age. It's a lot.
And through it all, she's making us ask some tough questions. But representation, activism, what celebrities mean in our culture, what do we expect from them? How much power do we give them? And how much do we hold them accountable?
Big questions for sure. So, as we wrap up this deep dive on Rachel Zegler, we leave you with this. In a world where charisma and controversy are always bumping into each other, how do you tell the difference between someone who's really trying to change things and someone who's just in it for themselves? That's for you to decide.
Yeah, keep an eye on Rachel Zegler, guys. Her story is far from over, that's for sure. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens next.
And it's not just Snow White. She's had some other interesting moments online. Like after the 2024 election, right? She had some pretty strong words about Trump and the people who voted for him. You can guess how that went over.
Yeah, not well.
Yeah.
Especially with certain groups. There were actual calls for Disney to fire her from Snow White.
Wow, really?
Yeah, they were saying she was putting the whole movie at risk, like alienating a big part of the potential audience. Their argument was basically that people would just skip the movie because of her politics, no matter how good of an actress she is.
Yeah, I see their point. But it's interesting, right? Because it brings up this whole question of how much do we really care about a celebrity's personal beliefs? I mean, are we really going to boycott a movie just because we disagree with an actor's politics?
It's a question we're seeing more and more these days, especially with social media. It's like we know so much about these celebrities now, their lives, their opinions. It's getting harder to separate the art from the artist. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Some people say you should be able to just enjoy the work, even if you don't like the person behind it. Others say, no way, you're supporting their views if you support their work. You got to hold them accountable for everything, even their personal stuff.
Yeah, it's tricky. And it's like Zegler is caught right in the middle of it all, wants to use her platform to speak out about things she cares about, but then there's all this backlash. And after both of those things, the Godot comments and the Trump stuff, she did apologize. Said she knew she'd caused hurt and that she really believes in positive discussion.
Yeah, but even the apologies, people didn't know what to make of them. Some said she was being sincere, owning up to her words. Others thought it was all calculated, just a PR move to protect her career. It's almost impossible to know what she was really thinking, and that just keeps the debate going, right? Is she the real deal, or is she playing everyone?
Exactly. Like we were saying before, that line is so blurry. And then to add another layer to all of this, there's all this stuff she said about the original Snow White.
Oh, yeah. She's been pretty vocal about some of the things she sees as problems with the story. Like, remember when she called the prince a stalker? That didn't sit well with some of the diehard Disney fans.
I mean, if you really think about it, he does kiss her while she's unconscious. Not exactly what we'd consider, proper consent these days.
Yeah.
But you can see why people would say, hey, you're starring in the remake. Maybe show a little respect for the original.
It's a tough one. Can you really be part of something and criticize it at the same time? Can you be a fan and a critic? I think Zegler's testing those boundaries, and it's making some people uneasy. She's not just passively taking the role, she's thinking about it, challenging the old ideas, using it to talk about bigger issues like gender roles and societal expectations.
For sure. And it's not just about Snow White. She's talked about how women are generally portrayed in Hollywood. Saying we need to see more complex, more empowering female characters on screen.
Which brings us right back to that question. Visionary or opportunist? Is she truly passionate about these issues? Or is she, just saying what's popular? Jumping on the feminist bandwagon to make herself look good?
It's hard to know for sure, but he's got to give her credit for one thing. She's not shying away from these conversations. She's putting herself out there, taking risks, starting debates, and that's pretty impressive, especially for someone so young.
She was only 19 when West Side Story came out. Think about that catapulted to fame at that age. Dealing with all the pressures of social media, everyone watching her every move. It's a lot for anyone to handle.
It really is. And her story's not over yet. Snow White hits theaters in March 2025. Huge moment for her career. Yeah. It's going to be fascinating to see how people react to the film and how she deals with all the attention and the criticism that comes with it.
Yeah, it's a huge gamble. Will she be able to move past all the controversy and win people over? Or will the things she said end up overshadowing her performance?
Yeah, it's tough. It really does feel like these days, trying to figure out who's authentic, who's putting on a show. It's like a hall of mirrors sometimes.
It's true, and especially on social media, it just amplifies everything, Distorts things. It feels like everyone's so focused on crafting the perfect image, the perfect message, trying to be just the right amount of outraged.
And Zegler, well, she's good at that. Whether she means to or not, the girl knows how to get people talking. Even her critiques of Disney. Some of them might be valid, but it also, kind of conveniently, makes her look like the woke princess, right? Shaking things up from the inside.
Yeah, it's a smart move, no doubt about it. And it fits right in with how things are right now. You speak truth to power, even inside a giant corporation like Disney, and suddenly you're a rebel.
But it does make you wonder, is it real? Does she really care about this stuff? Or is it all just part of some carefully crafted image?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, I don't think there's a simple answer. Maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe she does believe in what she's saying, but she also knows how powerful those words can be, how they can boost her profile, make her brand stronger.
It's almost like we expect celebrities to be authentic and calculated at the same time.
Yeah.
Passionate and strategic. They have to walk this tightrope between being real and playing the Hollywood game.
And the stakes are high. One wrong step, one sentence taken out of context, and they're facing a tidal wave of negativity. Could ruin their career. Like, look at what happened with those comments about Godot. People were calling her anti-Semitic, which is a serious accusation, especially in Hollywood.
And it goes beyond individual careers these days. These controversies, they have real consequences in the real world. Boycotts, protests, people getting harassed online. It spills over, creates division, feeds the whole culture war thing.
Zegler's story, in a way, it's like a mini version of what's happening in society, right? We're so polarized, so quick to judge, always trying to put people into these neat little boxes, hero or villain. Nuance goes out the window, context is ignored. and the loudest voices. They often drown out the ones that actually have something thoughtful to say.
So where does that leave someone like Zegler? Can she navigate all of this without compromising who she is or her career? Can she be a successful actress and a true advocate for change?
It's a tough question. Only time will tell, I guess. When Snow White comes out, that'll be a turning point. Will people judge the film on its own merits? Or will all the controversy around Zegler overshadow everything?
And how will she handle the criticism? It's inevitable, right? Some of it fair, some of it not. Will she stand her ground and keep speaking her mind? Or will she retreat, become more cautious?
The choices she makes, they're going to tell us a lot about who she really is, what motivates her, what her vision is. Is she willing to risk everything for what she believes in? Or will she prioritize protecting herself above all else?
It's fascinating. It really is. And it raises some big questions for all of us, don't you think? Like, how do we deal with admiring someone's talent while also disagreeing with their actions or beliefs?
Right.
How do we navigate a world where image and authenticity are constantly clashing?
Yeah. And in the end, how do we figure out who's actually trying to make a difference and who's just playing the game for their own benefit?
There are no easy answers, that's for sure. But Rachel Zegler's story, it makes us think about these things, whether we like it or not. She's like a mirror, reflecting all the messy complexities of our times. And her journey, it's going to keep us captivated, keep us thinking for a long time to come.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.